It doesn't matter what point of your life you're at, you've most definitely heard about the Mustang. This pony car has been dominating the car scene for over 60 years at this point, and in that time, there may have been some stuff you missed. So I'm here to get you completely up to date with everything that is the Mustang. My name is Jason, and you're watching God Next. Now, the first Mustang may have been a miracle with how it was produced. Lee Iacocca and Donald Frey had just over 18 months to make this car, and when they finally did, it was debuted in 1964 to immediate love and reception by the fans. This car sold over 22,000 units on its very first day of production, and on top of that, throughout its first year, 400,000 units were sold in total. I mean, this car had everything. It was sleek, it was cool, it was fast, and it was fun, but most importantly, it was really affordable. This car started at $2,500 back in the day, and if you equate that to money nowadays, it's around $25,000 for a brand new Mustang. Now, most people absolutely fell in love with this car and wanted more, and luckily for them, a man named Carroll Shelby existed.
My name's Carroll Shelby, and performance is my business.
Now, in 1965, Carroll Shelby saw the Mustang and wanted it to be the absolute best it could possibly be. So he partnered with Ford to make the Shelby Mustang. Now, this thing was absolutely killer. It ditched the back seats, got a better engine, creating 306 horsepower, and came exclusively in the Wimbledon white with the Guardsman blue stripe, looking iconic and helping cement the name Shelby and Mustang together for all of its lifespan. Now, in 1967, the Mustang went through a bit of a transitional period, becoming bigger, more luxurious than its previous counterpart, which was a little bit contradictory at the time because this was emphasized to be a light, small car that didn't really do anything too crazy. But luckily enough, the design stuck and it became an instant classic. But the design wasn't the only thing that got better. This thing got a better engine. Starting in 1971, it had the option to get the Cobra Jet engine, which is one of the coolest named engines I've ever heard of in my entire life. But sadly, after that, the Mustang lost its way, with the Mustang II releasing in 1974. Now, for any history buffs out there, you might be well aware that in 1973, America was going through an oil crisis.
Gas lines at many stations were a lot longer than normal.
Line today is longer than it's ever been. I have no explanation for it.
Which is not a good thing. That means oil and fuel both increase heavily, and people just can't afford to buy these big gas-guzzling V8s. So Ford decides to make their Mustang, one of their most popular cars at the time, into something that's a bit more practical for your average buyer. Sadly, though, this means they committed a sin, a travesty. They took the V8 out of the Mustang, which is like having milk and no cookies. It just doesn't match. I mean, it is genuinely one of the biggest travesties that Ford has ever done. You could only get an inline 4 or a V6, but luckily, thank goodness, Ford decided to get their senses together and offered the V8 later down the line. Now, this car went for about $3,600 back then, which equates to about $23,000 today. So it's still a moderate price, but this V8 engine was absolutely insane. I'm telling you, 140 horsepower? Yeah, you heard that right. The V8 was severely limited, and it kind of is heartbreaking. This thing barely gets more power than a Ford Fusion nowadays, and in a Mustang, it kind of breaks your heart, especially coming from the previous generation with some crazy numbers and some super cool and fast cars. But you know what? If you ask any car person, most of them will say that this Mustang is nowhere near their favorite. It's not the best. But luckily for us, the people of the time absolutely ate this car up. People were buying it, and it was able to keep the Mustang name going. Yes, the Mustang II may not be your favorite, but it did have an important part to play in history to keep the Mustang name going. Fox Body V8. That is synonymous with the Mustang, and everybody knows in 1979, the Mustang really wanted to rebuild the reputation that this car had lost in its previous generation by bringing back the V8 and making it better. 157 horsepower, a little bit of an improvement from the previous generation, but it still was a step in the right direction. Sleeker body design, better suspension. This car was an all-around upgrade, and it looked great while doing it. This car, though, did set you back a little bit of money, starting at about $4,500, which in today's money equates to about $21,000, which is still a little bit cheaper than the last generation, which is absolutely insane to think of. You got more car for less money, looked better, and it was a great step. But you know what? This car didn't truly wake up until the second half of the generation. In 1987, the Fox Body Mustang got a facelift and really went deep into becoming a better car. 5-liter V8 is all I have to say, because that is when the Mustang started finding its stride, getting horsepower and torque numbers in the 200s compared to that measly 157. This car was an absolute beast. It had the styling, the suspension, everything you wanted from the Fox Body prior, but with more horsepower and more torque to match that aggressive feel you wanted to have when driving a Mustang. This Mustang helped revitalize completely the image that Ford had tarnished slightly with the previous generation of the Mustang, and honestly is a great step. This car was a bit pricier though, costing $16,000 back then, and if you equate that now, it gets a little bit closer to what you're paying for an average Mustang nowadays, with about $44,000 in the price tag. But honestly, this Mustang did a great job, leaving Ford fans excited and enthusiastic to see what came next from Ford and the Mustang. 1994 was the first year that Ford ever really decided to tweak the Mustang's design. Yes, you would have remnants of other generations previously, but this one felt completely different. It was curvier, it looked a lot different, it didn't feel like a traditional Mustang, but honestly, besides the design change, there wasn't that much that changed this generation. It was a little bit slow to start out, and the price tag didn't really reflect the changes that were made. They bumped up the price to starting at $21,000, which in today's money is closer to 45 grand, which is honestly insane for something that didn't really change all too much. You were paying for a redesign, but this Mustang wasn't done. Halfway through its generation and its mid-cycle refresh in 1999, this car got a lot better, beefier, cooler, whatever you want to say about it. They amped up the styling, they made it feel more unique, more like a Mustang, and on top of that, they got engines that pushed farther than they'd ever pushed before. This generation also came out with a bunch of cool special editions. You had things like the Bullet, you had things like the Mach 1, and you had the Terminator. All three of these cars did an excellent job getting Mustang fans excited for what could come next.
We're gonna build a race car.
No, competition always brings out the best in Ford. This is the Coyote V8 engine that became standard for the Mustangs down the line. And when it first came out, it bumped up the Mustang's horsepower by 100 and really was refined. I mean, this car was fantastic, easy to get into, and started at about $33,000, which if you translate into today's economy, it's about 46 grand. Now, this is my Mustang. This is the Mustang that I grew up seeing. This is the Mustang that I knew people had. This was the Mustang that was around when I was most impressionable by this car. And this was from 2005 to 2009. And this Mustang, I think, is absolutely stunning. It pulls from that classic car look while still giving you a modern feel overall, and had about 300 horsepower on the dime. I really do like this car. I think it was a great stepping stone to keep that Mustang alive. And it came in around $26,000, which if you bring to today's standard is about $44,000, which is pretty on par with what it would cost to buy a new Mustang today. Now, we cannot leave this generation without looking at some of the Shelby Mustangs that were released, because these were some of the absolute pinnacles of Shelby Mustang. Now, one thing that is kind of sad that happened during this generation is Carroll Shelby's unfortunate passing in 2012, making these the last Mustangs that he ever had the opportunity to work on. But luckily for him, his legacy will be carried on with some amazing Mustangs. And specifically in this generation, I love the GT500. This came with a 5.8-liter V8 supercharged engine that created 662 horsepower, which is absolutely out of this world, and did a great job cementing his legacy. Now, this generation as a whole for the Mustang did a great job reintroducing the muscle cars to the modern scene, as well as igniting that modern horsepower race with Dodge and Chevy, and really did a good job of getting people interested in the Mustang once again. Now, the 6th generation of the Mustang just took what the 5th did and tried to make it a bit better. Yes, you have some new design elements, and you have some new features and whatnot, but that's not really the kicker with this car. The driving on this Mustang is probably some of the best driving that you will get on any Mustang ever created. It still has that 5-liter Coyote V8 under the hood, and it does fantastic works. The Mustang has been around for over 50 years at this point in this generation, which is insane for a car like this. This one started at about $38,000, making it fall in that cheap power bracket, and it really is a car that is worth talking about. This Mustang does everything you want from it and a little bit more. Now, this is going to be the most current generation of the Mustang, the 7th generation. Right now, if you wanted to go to your local dealership and buy one of these, you can get your hands on this for $48,000. But that's not the only new part about this Mustang. The one we have here with us is going to be the Dark Horse, which is introduced in this generation, coming with 500 horsepower out of the factory, which is absolutely fantastic, especially in the time where all other muscle/pony cars are being killed off or turned into weird electric hybrids that aren't really true to what they are. But this Mustang has stayed strong with a V8 being one of the best and easiest options to get as of right now, and it really is a testament to why the Mustang has such a great legacy. Now, for the future of the Mustang, we've heard things about the GTD, but all I know concrete right now is that we're gonna have a solid V8 for a few more years, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And honestly, I'm grateful for the Mustang. It got so many people into the car world and was a lot of people's first ever dream car, and I think it did a great job. And I also want to thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.